Delighted to welcome back to Talk Radio, Jasmine Birtles from moneymagpie.com. Hello, Jasmine.
Hello there, Paul.
So the triple lock was a bit controversial at the time, but that's when it was kind of felt that inflation and interest rates were sort of equal. That's not happening at the moment, is it?
No, absolutely. And I think Baroness Altman has a very good point because, if with inflation low and quite likely to stay low with interest rates likely to stay low, possibly even going into negative, they're talking. This triple lock policy, if we're going to go for the highest, say 2.5%, that could be massive. That could be a massive amount that the government has to find for the huge number of pensioners. And as we know, there are more and more pensioners. There are going to be more and more pensioners come 2020, as Baroness Altman says. This could be really impossible, I would say, for the government to pay that and to pay all the other things that we need, NHS, education, other people's benefits, etc.
And I suppose for people who've got into this now and think they've paid in and think they've got a contract, legally there'd be a problem for people trying to break that contract, I'd imagine.
Do you mean sort of for the state pension?
Yeah, for the state pension. If you signed up for that, I mean, effectively, if you feel you voted for a party that does this, you wouldn't then want to have the rug pulled from under you so spectacularly within 5 years.
It's a good point, yes. I don't know. I mean, it was said at the time, Cameron said at the time, and he said last year that if we voted to leave, if we voted for Brexit, then that could change things, definitely. And, that's essentially what we're seeing. But at the moment, at least, goodness knows how long it would last, interest rates are having to come down probably, or they're certainly staying low. Everything seems to be low. Inflation is low. So, that you could say, well, he did warn of that. So I don't know. I mean, people, I'm sure pensioners would be furious. But at the same time, if it's explained, and, if this does happen, that the country simply can't afford that, so that, they're going to have to modify it. I guess people would have to accept that, really. I mean, it may be, for example, that they don't have the triple lock, they have the double lock. So they say that pensions will go up in line with inflation or average earnings, but forget the 2.5%.
And also, I suppose they might say people have got 5 years to try and put other things in place if they can afford to.
Yeah, absolutely. And, if inflation is low and stays low, then you could argue, well, fair enough. You keep the state pension in line with prices, at least. It would be nice also to keep them with average earnings. I mean, again, who knows what would happen to average earnings? They might go down. They might go up as well. But I think, at least if you can keep them in line with inflation, then pensioners can't really complain because it's not like the pound in their pocket has got less effectively. It just hasn't increased. So I think that if they at least went for, say, a double lock, and forgot the 2.5%, which if you think about it, if inflation and if interest rates did go to minus, for example, if they went to minus 0.5, then saying that you can have 2.5%, that means you've got an extra 3% above base rate, way more than anybody pretty much gets, even on their savings. So, that's 3% that it's per person that the government would have to find.
And it costs us 90 billion a year, as we've heard. 90 billion roughly a year, every year, pension benefits.
Yeah, and that's right now. Goodness knows how much more it would be later on when you have far more pensioners and, essentially more money having to be paid to each one compared to what you can borrow against the Bank of England.
Jasmine, we appreciate your time this morning. Jasmine Birtles there from moneymagpie.com talking to me, Paul Ross.